Welcome to the Acid Trash Jamboree, and to another roundup of cinematic odds and ends. As is often the case, today we'll be checking out 4 very different titles, covering everything from cryptids and urban legends to street gangs and hippie cults. So if that sounds interesting, please stick around and let's see if any of these are any good. Okay, so first up, Sasquatch is another one of those Legend of Boggy Creek styled faux documentaries about, what else, the search for Sasquatch. Yeah, headed up by a native guide named Tekka Blackhawk, played by Joel Morello in a bad wig, a group of beardy blokes head deep into the American wilderness, trekking for months before they even get anywhere near Bigfoot country. In the meanwhile, they run into and fend off all manner of other wildlife, from pesky raccoons and badgers to deadly cougars and grizzlies, and traverse countless dangerous rivers and swamps, occasionally stopping to rest and to entertain one another with tales of past cryptid capers. Eventually, as summer fades and autumn sets in, they reach their destination, and the atmosphere of the expedition changes. But is it all in their minds, or does it mean that a Sasquatch encounter is finally on the cards? Well, this is sort of alright, full of stunning scenery and the like, but after a while, I did start to wonder if I was watching a horror movie or a blooming nature documentary. Okay, so there are a couple of flashback scenes of Bigfoot action whilst the explorers are exchanging their campfire stories, which break up the boredom a bit, but if you're expecting gore-soaked, limb-ripping carnage in the style of Night of the Demon, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. The group's own brush with the big fella only occurs right at the end of the movie, and typically you hardly see anything due to the day-for-night simulation and the chaotic editing. Oh well, truth be told, whilst I like the idea of these films, I wasn't overly fond of Boggy Creek either when I saw that the other year. The difference is, I'll probably give that one another chance, whereas I've no real reason to sit through Sasquatch ever again. On this double bill Blu-ray from Code Red, Sasquatch is paired with Encounter with the Unknown, an anthology film from 1972 comprising of 3 different supernatural tales. Firstly, a trio of young males accidentally cause the death of a nerdy associate of theirs when a prank goes horribly wrong. At the boy's funeral, those responsible are hexed by his grieving mother, and sure enough, they start to die themselves shortly afterwards. In the second one, a young boy loses his dog, Lady, during an afternoon fishing trip. That night, the youngster goes searching in the woods for Lady, and almost falls down an ominous, mist-shrouded hole in the process. Before long, said mysterious hole comes to the attention of the whole community, but will anybody be brave enough to explore its foreboding depths, just on the off chance that the horrifying noises emanating from within are being made by the missing mutt? The third tale is a retelling of the Girl on the Bridge urban legend, in which a girl named Susan is killed in a tragic accident, and as a result is doomed to haunt a remote bridge in the countryside for all eternity, occasionally hitching a ride back home with passing motorists, only to vanish into thin air mid-journey. Okay, so I've seen quite a lot of people really taking a dislike to this movie. Whilst it's certainly not amazing by any stretch, let's face it, there are way, way worse anthologies out there than this. Granted, none of the segments would particularly hold up to being made into full-length features, but they all have a certain something regardless. That slightly spooky, dazed and confused, bad dreamy feeling that 70s filmmakers excelled at. So if that's your bag, then I'd say this is at least worth a try. As you can see, this was one of several films narrated by Twilight Zone legend Rod Serling, whose deadpan interjections lend a creepy campness to proceedings, whilst the score mixes things up, featuring flashes of morbid prog rock, avant-leaning orchestral drama, and soft-focus, easy-listening cheese to nice effect. So yeah, as a double feature, for me this Blu-ray is pretty lopsided. As I say, with Sasquatch mostly being a waste of time, though honestly, Encounter with the Unknown really isn't that bad. Again, particularly if you have a soft spot for that trippy 70s US horror aesthetic. On to yet another Code Red double bill, which kicks off with Teenage Tramp, featuring a troubled young woman named Kim, who's on the run from a one-time lover and boss, Maury, a thoroughly nasty Manson-style drug dealer and cult leader to a troop of perma-stoned hippie deadlegs. So yeah, accompanied by a Vietnam-dodging boyfriend, Skip, Kim pays a visit to her big sister, Hillary, who owes Kim her share of the inheritance money left behind by their late mother. Now, Hillary currently lives with her painter lover, Adam, in a swanky mansion/art gallery, which Kim is due to inherit one day. Unfortunately for Kim, Maury knows not only where to find her, but about the inheritance business too, meaning he pays her a little visit. Whilst his acolytes party endlessly inside the mansion, Maury hatches a sinister plan to extract as much cash from the sisters as possible, and don't doubt that he'll resort to murder if he has to. So, a solid little hippie-sploitation package overall, mixing up drama and tragedy with the expected nudity, sleaze, violence, and groovy freak-out scenes. Of course, if you're expecting Oscar-worthy performances from the assembled thespians, then you'd better look elsewhere. That said, star Alicia Fontaine is quite a captivating screen presence nonetheless. Teenage Tramp moves along at a decent enough clip, delivering fair amounts of exploito thrills at regular intervals, things getting spicier the further in you delve, admittedly without ever getting too exciting. Visually, the crew make the most of the esoterically decorated mansion setting that most of the film takes place in, the hippie revelers adding an extra flash of freaky colour when they finally show up. So yeah, there's plenty to look at along the way. The score is also quite cool, in a post-Easy Rider kind of way, with the usual blend of down-home rural songs and fuzzy West Coast jam music getting the toes tapping. So this is certainly no masterpiece, but as I said, there's enough here to be getting on with if you have a fondness for this type of mixed-up, old-school grindhouse fare. Yeah, good stuff. We finished today's episode with Cat Murkil and the Silks, also known as Cruisin High. In this one, a dim-witted wannabe tough guy named Eddie Cat Murkil idolises his jailbird big brother Joey and would give anything to be the leader of his school gang, the Silks. When a clash with a rival gang presents Eddie with a chance to take the reins, he shoots current Silks leader Punch in cold blood and blames the killing on said Mexican rivals, immediately exacting revenge on them by having one of their number fatally stabbed. In Way Over His Head, Eddie shows his true cowardly colours when the Mexicans gatecrash a party he's at, and he splits before the blood starts flowing. Now feeling the pressure to start living up to his self-appointed role, Eddie's behaviour gets increasingly reckless. With a supposedly reformed Joey due out on parole any day now, will he be able to stop his little brother from digging his own grave? Or will he himself be sucked back into the nihilistic world of gang warfare? Okay, so this film isn't great by any means, but it's quite a bit better than the rather scathing write-up on the back of the Blu-ray would suggest. Yeah, it's way too long, over 100 minutes. Though somewhere inside its meandering framework lies a solidly entertaining little cautionary tale exploitation movie. As it is, though, you just have to sit through a bunch of unfocused nothingness to find it. Reading some other reviews on this, many seem to view the Eddie character as being rather ridiculous, questioning just how this skinny blonde weakling could ever manage to take over a gang. But surely we've all known at least one poisonous, disaffected, opportunist little twerp like him. Yeah, they do exist, and quite often go on to surprise you by committing the most heinous acts. Whatever the case, for me, it makes for a more interesting character arc to not have him be some hard case from the get-go. Other than that, as the Blu-ray blurb correctly informs us, there are some questionable shifts in tone throughout the movie, with gritty scenes of the good stuff juxtaposed against pointless funny segments, replete with toe-curlingly awful comedic musical cues, which we definitely could have done without. But yeah, despite not expecting much from it initially, as I said, this is surprisingly pretty watchable overall, and makes up a decent tearaway adolescent package with teenage Tramp. By the way, look out for Douglas McGrath in this, who famously played the super stupid Sergeant Nash in the original Black Christmas. So, not a bad little selection there. As I've no doubt said before, Code Red didn't always put out the best stuff. Even so, the sheer amount of obscure films they did rescue from oblivion down the years should be commended. Besides, it's still a thrill to sift through their vast catalogue in search of hidden gems, even after all these years. Okay, so that wraps up today's video. I hope it's been enjoyable. Please consider hitting subscribe to be kept up to date with all future episodes on weird and wonderful music and films. And I'll catch you next time on the Acid Trash Jamboree.